He said, تُنْكَهُ الْمَرْأَةُ لِأَرْبَعٍ. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam ने फरमाया कि एक औरत से जब शादी के लिए तलब की जाती है तो चार चीजें लोग देखते हैं. चार चीजें. लिमालिहा, पहले कि वो कैसे अमीर खानदान से है, गरीब खानदान से है. वलिहसबिहा, कि इसके फैमिली बैकग्राउंड कैसे है, कैसे ही फैमिली से है, इसकी नस्ब कैसी है. तीसरी वली जमालिहा, उसकी खूबसूरती के लिए. और चौथी वली दीनिहा, चौथी चीज जो लोग देखते हैं कि कैसे ही नेक औरत है या बदकार औरत है. तो नबी करीम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने फरमाया फज़फर लिज़ाति दीन, कि कामयाब जब तुम देखो, जब तुम ढूंढो तो तुम उस औरत से कामयाब हो जो दीन वाली हो, नेक हो. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that normally a woman is married for four reasons. Four reasons. Number one, for her wealth. Number two, for her status. Number three, her beauty. And number four, her faith. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, be successful with the one of religiosity, the one who's pious. Now, the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was addressing a gathering of men. That's why he said a woman. But this exact same thing applies to women as well. When women look for a potential spouse, a man is also, you marry a woman marries a person for the same reasons. But why is a woman mentioned here? Simply because the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam was addressing a group of men. Now the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned four characteristics. And he mentioned faith, religion, last. Why? Because when people are looking to get married, they often keep the religious aspect. Is this person religious? How much do they know about the faith? That has the least priority. Whereas the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam is telling us that that should be the priority. But people often, never even bring this up. They never even consider this. This is why the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned it last. But then he said, "Fasfar bidati." Be successful with the one of good faith. Now, the four characteristics, the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not discouraging the three. So he's not saying don't marry a woman for her beauty, or don't marry a woman for who's wealthy, or don't marry a woman who has a high social standing or respect in the community. He's not discouraging this at all. And this is a misunderstanding people have. People often assume that we should never consider beauty. No, he's not discouraging this or discarding this. All he's saying is have your priorities. The priority should be how pious someone is, and then the rest also play a part, and they play a very, very important part. This is why he said it, that these are four characteristics. Now let's look at the first one. Well, Islamically, legally, it's the man's duty to provide for the wife and the children. This is the legal, this is what Islam dictates. The man is responsible for them. Now we can change, the customs can change, right? But the duty still lies on the man to provide for the wife and the children. Now, someone who looks to get married without sufficient funds, without enough wealth or income, then they're going to struggle. And they're simply not ready to do so. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Quran, الرِّجَالُ قَوَّامُونَ عَلَى النِّسَاءِ. The men are maintainers and protectors of women. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has favored one of them over the other. Right? بِمَا فَضَّلَ اللَّهُ بَعْدُهُمْ عَلَى بَعْدٍ. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has favored one of them over the other. وَبِمَا أَنْفَقُوا مِنْ أَمْوَالِهِمْ. And because men spend from their wealth. So it's a man's duty to do so. Now, when getting married, you should think about it practically. A woman who wants to seek marriage should do so with someone who is compatible with her in terms of wealth. You know, if the two spouses, potential spouses, are from complete different, they have different expectations, then there can be a mismatch. A lot of the times it leads to problems. You hear this. You know, my dad used to do this X, Y, and Z for me. He provided all this for me. You're not providing this for me. So practically looking at it, when you're looking to get married, do so with someone who has similar expectations in terms of wealth, in terms of what kind of spending that you want to do, and what kind of expectations that they have. Otherwise, it can cause serious problems. The second thing the Messenger ﷺ said is lineage. The woman is married for her lineage. In the Arabs, they took great pride in their tribes, in tribal, relationships, lineages, and family honor and standing was everything. It was paramount. Right? Now we live in a postmodern, neoliberal society where it's all about the individual, who you are, what you want to do. It's all about you. Right? But the Messenger ﷺ, there's great wisdom in looking at the family. We don't look at the the genealogy or such like this, but we should be looking at what kind of a family our potential spouse comes from. Why? Because it has great impact on their upbringing and in their character. Right? We might think that we are individuals and we are independent, but we don't live in a vacuum. We live with families. We live, we visit each other regularly, or should be at least. And we oftentimes when people are getting married, it's not just two individuals, it's two families coming together. So do you not think the kind of family that the potential spouse is from, men and women, it will not have an effect, and it will not play a role on this? Now, people are of course influenced physically, psychologically, by the kind of people that they spend their time with. So before, when the Messenger ﷺ was advising us, that when we consider someone, then we should actually see who are the closest people to them, and what are they like. The Messenger ﷺ said, "Al-mar'u ala dini khalili." That a man is on the faith of his friend. Why? Because the friends influence each other. And it's not just kids or teenagers who are influenced, even adults, we are influenced by our friends. Now, if this is the influence we have from our friends, do we not think that it's important to look at what kind of family upbringing that our potential spouse has had? Do you not think that they're going to be affected by this? Are they the kind of people who are going to come after you with baseball bats if you have some problems? Or are they going to deal with you fairly, in a fair manner? Are they people that you are happy to spend time with, and you are happy with the faith? This is really, really important. And people often forget that when you want to teach your kids, you want to give a good tarbiyah to your kids. It's impossible that if your potential spouse doesn't have good tarbiyah, doesn't come from a good practicing family, it's impossible that that you can expect great things from your own children. How can you? Right? This is why the Messenger ﷺ said, for her, her nasab, and we can understand it as the family status, right? What kind of family this is, right? The third thing the Messenger ﷺ said is that a woman is married for her beauty, Now, in a world where beauty is actually exploited for immoral ends, we often forget that it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who created beauty. Inna Allah jamilun yuhibbul jamal. Messenger says, Allah is beautiful and He loves beauty. He loves people to beautify themselves. And He loves things that are beautiful. When we create masjid, we try to create the masjid beautiful. Right? In our homes, our speech should be beautiful. Our clothes should be beautiful. Our shoes should be beautiful. The Messenger ﷺ said, cleanliness is half of your faith. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves beauty. Right? we often forget this. And Allah has created us, and Allah knows exactly how He's created us. Right? Allah has created humans with a natural inclination towards beauty of the opposite gender. This is natural inclination. When you see someone of the opposite gender with beauty, you feel inclined towards them. Why has Allah created this? So that we can find satisfaction in our spouses, and that we can procreate our children. This is a normal and natural human emotion that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created inside us. And people often think, there's the opposite end of exploitation, which is people think we don't need to consider this at all. Right? This is also incorrect. When Allah has created beauty, then we should be considering this. But we have to remember, where is it that our priority should lie? Now, people often, even married couples and spouses who work, they wake up, beautify themselves, dress smartly, and go out to work, and then come home and make no effort for their own spouse. Right? Make no effort for their own spouses. This is also incorrect. In fact, our beauty, the number one people that we should display our beauty to and for is our spouses. So beautifying yourself for your spouse is actually encouraged. Right? And not beautifying your spouse, it leads to, in the long term, not beautifying yourself for your spouse, it leads to great problems. If you ask any marriage counselor, they'll tell you that a large number of problems between spouses comes because spouses are no longer attracted to each other. They're no longer attracted to each other. Right? Why? Because they don't make an effort for each other. It's strange that we make an effort when going outside so others can see us. But the effort for our own spouses, we don't make it. And I'm not just talking about people who, put makeup on or wear clothes, but even to be physically, to be fit and to be healthy, to work out and exercise, this is really, really important. And it will, it creates attraction between spouses, and it's something that we want. Attraction between spouses is not something that should just last for a year and then just give up. We often hear the phrase, I'm married now, I don't care. Well, actually, after marriage, this should encourage you to be in a better shape, to be more attractive for your spouse, not for others, for your own spouse. Now, the hadith of Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, let me take you back to the hadith. He said, a woman, and again, like I said, a man as well, is married for 4 reasons. Number 1, for the wealth. Number 2, for the social status. Number 3, for the beauty. Right? And number 4, for the faith. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, be successful with the one of good faith. This isn't discouraging beauty. This is not saying don't consider, a woman or a man's beauty at all. This is what the hadith says. It could be incorrect to understand this. Rather, the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam is telling us to prioritize. Why? Because how many beautiful people we have who have, apparent beauty, outer beauty, but they are really ugly from inside. They are really ugly from inside. So you don't want to spend a moment with them. Right? Does that beauty really matter? And do you think that beauty lasts? Does anyone care about the beauty? No. But the beauty, as well as physical beauty, right? The apparent beauty, what we are encouraged to do is to seek inner beauty as well. The last thing the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, and the most important, is someone of good faith and good religion. Right? All of the things are temporary. But good faith is the thing that will take you, that will last with you and your spouse, even in Jannah. It's good faith that's going to take you. And this is the thing that we should prioritize. And the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us, be successful with the one of good faith. Why? Because the one who has good faith fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and will not abuse your rights. Will know your rights and will fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala regarding this. Now, what is it that faith and religion means here? Is it just the outer display of religiosity? So someone who just prays or wears the hijab. Or is there something more? Is something inner? Well, marriage is what? It's a social interaction. So certainly, when the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam says someone of good faith, of course it includes the outer, but also the inner. Someone of, praiseworthy traits such as compassion, love, honesty, right? Integrity. These are the things that we should be seeking. Now, one thing I want to mention, I want to highlight is, people often have this idea, and I see this in a lot of young people, that when I get married, I'm going to improve. Right? When I get married, I'm going to improve. Or marriage is going to make me, I'm not going to commit any sins, because I won't have any need to. Right? This is just incorrect. If you don't make an effort before, marriage is not going to solve, it's not going to make you a wali of Allah, a saint, automatically. Neither should you go into marriage with the expectation, if you don't make the effort before, it's not going to solve anything automatically. You still have to make the effort. It will help, surely, but it's not going to automatically save anything. People often who are practicing, they're interested in someone who's not practicing at all and doesn't really want to. But they think that, okay, you know what, let me get married and I will work on them and I will change them. Rarely does this work. Rarely does this work. That someone who wasn't practicing before will, automatically change, or that you will be able to influence them. Don't have this expectation. If someone isn't willing to change, and they're really quite clear, then don't have the expectation that, yeah, I'm going to somehow change them. Be realistic with your expectation. If someone, of course, everyone should seek to to become better Muslims after marriage. But let's not, assume that automatically we are going to fix all problems. Now, what is it that women should be looking for? Right? I've spoken about what men should be looking for. Well, what about women? The same things that men look for in women, women also want the same things in men. Women want a man of, someone who's religious. Women should be looking for someone who's stable enough, right? Financially, someone who's has a good social status, family background, and someone who's good looking and someone who's beautiful, handsome. The same things that apply for women, for men also apply for women. The Messenger ﷺ told men to be successful with the woman who's pious. This also applies to women. Be successful with the spouse, the husband that is pious. Right? But there's also another thing which we often do not pay attention to. That is, women have this inclination, emotional need to be shown affection and love. And men have a need to be respected. They need respect from the women, from the wife. Now, women, when looking to get married, and when you seek, there are a lot of elders here, when you seek a potential spouse for your daughters, your nieces, your granddaughters, look for someone that she can respect. Look for someone that she can respect. Because if she can't respect this person, then it's not going to work. Right? Let me give you an example. This is just an example. It might not apply to everyone, but it certainly applies to some people, and it has an effect on many people. If there's a woman who's highly educated, has high income, the chances that she's going to respect a man who doesn't have, who doesn't match her education or doesn't match her income, right? The chances that she's not going to respect him, or at least in the long term. Should this be the case? No, of course not. But this is the reality. And oftentimes there's a mismatch of expectations. So when women look to, find a spouse, they should look for someone that they can respect. And of course, things, there are different things that matter for, people have different priorities, and that's up to them. But certainly a woman, when she looks to get married to someone, look for someone that you can respect as a husband. Now, There are also general traits that we should look for, such as honesty. This is something that we should look for, man or a woman. And we should never lie to our spouse, because our spouse will find out. Someone that you spend a lot of time with, they know your behaviors, your moods, right? They let you know when you twitch, like when you blink, why are you blinking more now, what's happened, right? Never lie to your spouse, because your spouse will certainly find out. Right? It's not good, it's not a good habit to do so. Now you might be thinking, well, I'm married now, and perhaps these were the things I was looking for, so how does this apply to me? Well, the 4 things the Messenger ﷺ told us, look for these traits. They don't just apply before marriage. We don't just look for these traits and then marriage they stop. If we didn't have these traits before marriage, look to apply them now. Right? If you and your spouse don't have these traits, work together to create these traits and these characteristics inside you. Right? It's not the case that before marriage, and if you didn't have these traits before marriage, it's over now, and don't even bother. No. If you didn't have them before and you still don't have them, work towards them. Work towards them. The last thing I would say, because there are a lot of elders here, is that oftentimes we hear, people say we need to make marriage easy. Right? Make marriage easy. You've heard this, yes? Make marriage easy for youngsters. It's very true. Make marriage easy for youngsters. Why? Otherwise there will be great fasad and fitna on earth, as we see. As we can see the fasad and fitna around us. Now, I'm going to address those who have, those who actually have daughters, and they, perhaps they're looking to, get them daughters married off. When a potential comes to you, and you're happy with the faith, you're happy with the social status, and you're happy, he has good character, then make marriage easy for them. Sometimes we have unrealistic expectations from 22, 23, 24, 25-year-olds. 25-year-old, 23-year-old, young, good men. We expect more from them than they can possibly give at their age. Right? Everyone wants security for their daughters. Of course, everyone needs this. Nobody wants to place their daughters into an insecure house. Right? But we also have to remember something. That security now, having a house now to your name, doesn't mean that you're going to have it in 5 years' time. There's no guarantee for this, is there? But when you see a young person, you're happy that this is an honest person, he's hardworking. Inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless them. Make life easy for them, and let them start their life. Who here, no one has, at the age of 45 what they have at the age, no one has at the age of 25 what they have at the age of 45. No one at the age of 25 is on the same career level as they are going to be at the age of 45. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who blesses people and places barakah. Now there's also great wisdom. We believe that it's only Allah that knows the future. This is the basic belief for every Muslim. It's only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who knows, and none of us can give guarantee for anything. One great wisdom in this is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the reason why Allah no one knows the future, and anyone who predicts the future is a liar. People who predict the future and say, I can read the cards, I can read your palm, liars, nothing but lie. The reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hides the future and no one knows the future except Allah is that Allah wants us to place our trust in Him. And Allah wants to teach us to place our trust in Him. Right? Marriage is one of those places where we place our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We work hard for this. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless them. And no doubt, when families support the children, the young man, young woman, to get married and help them stay together and make life easy for them, of course Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to bless them. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make life easy for all those who are looking to get married, grant them pious children, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to improve our own relationship with our own spouses. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لنا ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه.